What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch? It's Zero here. Today, I'm bringing you guys a brand new video, brand new live stream to all of you, and I'm super excited about it. For all of you tuning in on Twitch, you guys are watching this later on YouTube. I'm super excited to be here, guys, for this episode of the Gears Cast. Welcome, everyone, to the Gears Cast, the best Gears of War podcast here on YouTube. And of course, as you're watching it on Twitch, best podcast on Twitch right here, right now. Super excited about it, guys. We have a ton of stuff to talk about here in this episode of the show. So let's get into it. Today's episode is a special one because, number one, we're going to be going over a number of things here in the world of Gears of War, but it's a big day, not only for Gears, but for Xbox as a whole, because the Xbox Bethesda showcase, games showcase, is of course going to be coming to us in about a little bit over 1 hour. And so I felt, it's really important. This is, documenting this for, for history, essentially, of my YouTube channel, of my Twitch channel. I thought it was incredibly important to go ahead and bring this out to all of you. And I'm super excited about it. We got a lot of stuff, jam-packed stuff that we're going to be talking about here in, like I said, this episode of the Gears Cast. So coming in, guys, at number one, the top and number one thing that I want to talk about is the things that we hope to see here at the Xbox Game Showcase. Obviously, guys, there's a lot of things that, I'm excited about with the Xbox Games Showcase, but none bigger than that of Gears of War. And I know a lot of us are, feeling the exact same way. Saying hello to the chat. What's up, guys? I hope you guys are all having an incredible Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're tuning in to watching this. But some of the things that we hope to see, guys. I mean, obviously, I'm going to speak specifically because this is the Gears Cast. We're going to talk about what we want to see out of Gears of War in particular. So, obviously, the top two things that I want to see at the Xbox Game Showcase, number one is going to be Gear 6. I mean, look, Gear 6 is without question the number one thing that I want to personally see at least announced, right? I think the Gear 6, we've talked so much on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out all of my Gears of War content on the YouTube channel, but I think that Gear 6 is the most important thing because that's going to kind of lay a foundation or a path forward to the future of Gears of War. Not that a Gears of War collection, which we're going to get to here in a sec, not that the Gears of War collection is something that I don't want to see, because I absolutely do want to see it. Gears of War collection, that was going to kind of take you more so to the past, obviously, kind of a celebration of the past and what was, Gears of War, the past, which was an incredible, trilogy that we got out of what people are calling or hoping to call the Marcus Phoenix collection. So, obviously, I think that Gear 6 is the most important thing, because we got to look at the future, right? That's what is the most important thing, at least right here, right now, in my mind. Gears of War, as the collection is concerned, I think, obviously I'm excited about, the possibility of a Gears of War collection. And I'm excited about it from the perspective of it being a bridge from Gears 5 to Gears 6. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. The only thing that concerns me about the Gears of War collection, and I'd love to hear your guys' feedback about this, is the Coalition brings out the Gears of War collection and it gets well received, which is awesome. And I'm hoping that it gets very well received. But they decide to not really look towards the future. They look at just kind of the current and the past, right? If we all love the Gears of War collection when it comes out, the Coalition may very well, obviously they're working on other IPs right now. It's rumored that they're working on the Perfect Dark continuation or reboot. They're also working on their own new IP altogether. If the Gears of War collection does really good, which I think it would, maybe they would think to themselves, hey, we're just gonna, that's gonna be the latest thing for Gears of War in that community. They're cool with that. Let's work on other stuff instead of looking to the future, that being Gear 6. Now, Gear Gears 6, Gears 7, as well as a Gears of War movie were all confirmed by Rod Ferguson, who's the studio head at the Coalition, or was the former studio head at the Coalition before he moved on to Diablo and over to Blizzard. So he said that Gears 6 and Gears 7 are definitely things that are going to be happening, and he confirmed those things. He also said that the Gears of War collection or Marcus Phoenix collection was not something that they were really thinking about or wanting, so which is really interesting. Obviously, guys, we've had some, rumors, some speculation coming up to the Xbox Game Showcase that the Gears of War collection doesn't even exist. And that is something that we're going to be talking about here on this episode of the show. But before all of that, obviously, like I said, number one to me is Gears 6. That is the most important thing because that's going to give us a path, the road forward to what is gonna, hopefully be, something that's gonna be very sustainable, that being like the future of Gears of War. The Gears of War collection, I definitely want it to be announced as well because I think, like I said, it would be a great bridge to Gears 6 while we're waiting for it. We're thinking, at least in my mind, I'm thinking that the Gears of War collection, let's just say that comes out here in 2022. Gears 6 comes out probably in 2024 or 2025. So the Gears of War collection could be that real bridge to give us, content and things of that nature until we get to Gears 6. That's at least my hope as to what I'm hoping that we see here at the Xbox Game Showcase. It'll be very interesting to say the least. I want to, go over, I think that there's been a couple of guys in the community who have made some really interesting videos in regard to the Gears of War collection, none more so than Shadows, who I think, obviously Shadows is when I think of the face of Gears of War, at least at this, current juncture in time, Shadows has been the most consistent Gears of War creator in the community. And so he brought out a video talking about the Gears of War collection rumors. He actually had some down in his mind, and this is before some of the recent rumors that have come out before the Xbox Game Showcase. So I want to go ahead and react to this video with all of you. Let's check it out.
Hey guys, Shadows here, welcome back to another Gears of War video. Today we're going to be discussing the Marcus Phoenix collection rumors, and is a Gears collection actually finally happening? The upcoming Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase for 2022 on June 12th is approaching real fast, being only a few days away from getting to witness the latest and greatest everything coming to the Xbox platform. Is Microsoft get ready to take the stage to highlight and showcase all of the games, news, and announcements from the Xbox Game Studios and its partners? Okay,
first and foremost, guys, I think something I definitely want to mention, just in regard to Shadows, massive shout out to Shadows, who has, like I said, been the most consistent when it comes to content creation on YouTube in the Gears of War space. There's a number of others that have done incredible things, but I think that Shadows has really created like the standard for Gears of War content and such. I've said this many times that if, all of us were to create some form of content, not everybody creates content, but if everyone were to create content who love Gears of War or support their favorite, content creators and favorite streamers, I think that Gears of War as a whole would absolutely be able to flourish in a massive way. I just think it takes all of us as a community to do those things, and Shadows has become the standard. And so, as you guys can tell, I have dedicated my YouTube channel moving forward to the Gears of War universe and Gears of War as a whole. And so it's something that absolutely means a ton to me, that my channel, which started as a StarCraft channel, turned into a channel where I talked about tons of different games, now narrowing it down to Gears of War because I love this franchise so much. And when this franchise has been being, in question of its future, I felt that it was my duty to absolutely create content around this franchise to make sure that a game and a franchise that I love so much does not go to the wayside and go into a limbo state or a state of no return. So we're going to do whatever it takes to make those things happen. Niagara Zed says, hey, what's up, Niagara Zed? Appreciate you for being here, man. But with that being said, guys, Shadows, massive shout out to him.
The Coalition Studio last stepped onto an Xbox stage, as well as also the release of Gears 5. And so, of course, the Gears fans and Xbox gamers alike are very interested to see whether or not the Coalition Studio will be making an appearance at the Xbox Game Showcase this Sunday. If you didn't know by now or haven't noticed, the Gears of War annual release date schedule has changed, as TC shifted into next-gen development in Unreal Engine 5. As confirmed last year, it does look like there won't be a...
Okay, so this footage that was shown, it was like just showing off the power of Unreal Engine 5, I think was really important. Obviously, because this footage that was shown here for Unreal Engine 5 and kind of the power of Unreal Engine 5 by the Coalition, this is a pretty big deal because this footage definitely, to me, and we've talked about this on the YouTube channel, that it looks without question to be, you know, in the Gears of War universe. Now, it may not be I think of it as our first look at Gears 6, but it very well may not be. Obviously, there's a new character, you know, what we think to be a new character. Same thing with, like, you know, some of the creatures and from the Locust Horde and such. Looks very much so like a first look at what at least some models of what some Gears of War characters and such would look like. And that's why I'm saying that this is what I believe to be the first look. And so I'm hoping that, obviously that's not confirmed, but I think that them showing this to what looks to be Gears of War characters and things of that nature, I would have to admit that this could very well have been our very first look at Gears 6.
Time soon, with the next Gears game very likely not releasing this year or even next year. However, that doesn't mean that a new Gears of War game is super far away, as the Xbox game showcase of rumor mill has been running at full speed pretty much all of this year, that the Coalition might be releasing something that should be getting Gears fans excited for it if it turns out to be an actual reality, and as soon as dropping later this year in 2022. Back in January at the beginning of this year, Special Nick from the Xbox Era podcast did drop a massive hint that there is going to be another Xbox franchise owned by Microsoft that will be getting the Master Chief Collection style treatment, a bundle of all of the games remade and modernized with the latest technology.
There is another Microsoft franchise. I'm not allowed to say the franchise. There is another Microsoft franchise that will be getting, like, I guess the Master Chief Collection treatment.
Okay, so in regards to this is really interesting because this came out on Xbox Era podcast, and they're talking about a title within Microsoft's IPs that they own, that there's going to get a Master Chief Collection treatment, Master Chief-esque collection, and they confirm it to be, you know, because everybody was guessing it being Gears of War. A lot of people were thinking it was Fable. A lot of people thought that it was maybe Forza, but it seems, from this at least, that it was going to be Gears of War. Now, Zed says, what about if you search on the internet? There was 3 articles saying in one of them there's bad news for Gears fans, and another one, Jez Gordon said it's not happening. Yes, so obviously that is something that has come out like very recently, right? Jez Gordon is another very well-renowned Xbox insider, saying that he doesn't believe that the Gears of War collection exists. So it's interesting because obviously you have the Xbox Era podcast saying one thing, and they have very good those sources are very reliable as well. So it's a very interesting thing. You have a couple of entities saying different things, and so I think what it really comes down to is we're going to have to wait and see, obviously, at the Xbox Game Showcase. If you were to ask me, you know, it makes total sense to bring out an Xbox, or I should say a Gears of War collection for Microsoft, especially if we're talking a bridge title from Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 to Gears 6. You have like a title like the Gears of War collection that comes out, say, in 2022. Gear 6 comes out 2024, 2025. So that makes a lot of sense, at least to me. But at the same time, you know, we're going to have to kind of wait and see. We're going to be finding out here very shortly, Zed, and all of you watching out there, what happens here at the Xbox Game Showcase. I've stated that I want to see both announced, that being Gear 6 as well as the Gears of War collection. But I think Gear 6 is more important because that gives us, you know, the future of Gears, right? Gears of War collection is just something that they... obviously, I think it's important that it comes out, but I think that it's more important to see what the future of the franchise looks like.
Is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
That's now timelines. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a thing that's going to be this year, next year, whatever it is. Probably most likely, I would guess, next year. but I don't know timelines right now. Just that there will be another franchise, another Microsoft franchise, getting that Master Chief Collection treatment. Collection of all the games.
After the Xbox Era podcast had finished, a Xbox fan called Idle Sloth did tweet out then the timestamp regarding the brand new Xbox Collection rumor mill from the podcast itself, which then Tom Warren, the senior editor at The Verge, who is known for being very credible for his Xbox sources, did reply with the following: "The gears are really turning on this rumor."
So right there, I mean, you've got a lot of sources and a lot of insiders that are close to Xbox and some of the things that are probably going on behind the scenes over there saying, yes, the Gears of War collection is, or a Master Chief-esque collection for Gears of War is coming. And then you've got a guy, obviously saying that the gears are really turning on this one. Obviously, a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that it's Gears of War, and I believe that it's Gears of War as well. But obviously, with the more recent ordeals from Jez Gordon saying that it's not a Gears of War collection and saying that doesn't even exist is very, very interesting to say the least. And that definitely hurts a little bit, especially if that is to be true. But we're not going to know, guys, until the Xbox Game Showcase. Obviously, we'll find out all things that are going on behind the scenes over at Xbox.
Next up, just recently, Special Nick, once again from the Xbox Era podcast, did mention that the Xbox collection he first teased earlier this year could be getting a June E3 announcement soon, for a surprise release date later this year in 2022.
Maybe it'll be their E3 announcement, that collection from a Microsoft franchise. I mean, everyone's guessed it. I'm still not going to say it, but everyone's guessed it. What makes me laugh, though, is that if you go from November 2021 to November 2022, and you look at Microsoft's big output, it could wind up being Halo Gears 4. I mentioned about a franchise that is supposed to be getting the Master Chief type treatment, which is Gears. I mean, everyone was guessing Gears or Fable. It was going to be one of those two. Yeah. So yeah, that's the info. I'm wondering what I'm supposed to say here. That's all. Because I already got in a little bit of trouble for even mentioning Gears at all, so I don't want to then mention something else and get in more trouble. I guess all I'll say is that in terms of what this is supposed to be, don't expect it to be just a packaging up of like the 360 titles.
Yeah, that
as
would
in
make sense.
The BC titles that we already have out there.
Yeah.
Just being bundled together and sold. That's not what this is meant to be, as far as I know.
So obviously they're saying that it's not meant to just be kind of like a copy and paste. It's not going to be, at least from what these guys are talking about, the Xbox Era podcast are saying, is that it's supposed to, they're actually, putting a lot into these, into this Gears of War collection, which is really interesting. I mean, to say the least. I'm very excited about the possibility and how that sounds. But like I said, we've been having some contradiction. Zed says the coalition did a Twitter post saying, "Rev those Lancers." Here in 2022 on the New Year's, remember there was a picture of Gears 2 Marcus Phoenix, and I also read that saying that Xbox is bundling a Marcus Phoenix collection, and it was a report. Yeah, so look, I mean, it's tough to say. I think we've got, we've obviously got some contradiction going on. One person saying one thing, another source is saying another. Could they, maybe be off by a year, as in terms of like, hey, the Gears collection is coming, but it might not be, it might be another year away or something of that nature. Doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be that way, in my opinion. Maybe they're going to announce Gears 6, or they're only going to announce one of these titles this year. If it were up to me, I would say definitely Gears 6. But I think it makes even more sense to announce both of them, just to say, hey, Gears of War's collection's coming out this year, and this is, like, they show a full-blown trailer for that, and they show us a little teaser for Gears 6 to kind of let us know, hey, guys, we have not forgotten about the future Gears of War. Gear 6 is definitely in development at this point in time. I think that's what we need to be kind of waiting and hoping for here at the Xbox Game Showcase. Because we're better to announce the Gears of War collection, Gear 6, or any of those things than at the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase.
The rumors and speculation that has shown up this year for a Gears of War collection to be a real thing, I still find it very, very hard indeed to actually believe it's going to exist, purely because I have been asking for a Gears of War collection ever since the Halo Master Chief Collection was announced itself, way back now at E3 2014, and I have made multiple videos over the years with literally it never happening.
So what I'm going to be talking about is a Gears of War collection coming to Xbox One, and so obviously the idea of this has came from 343 Industries' Halo Master Chief Collection, which got announced at E3 2014.
What's very interesting though is that years ago the head of the Coalition studio, Rod Ferguson, publicly addressed the idea of a Marcus Phoenix collection before Gears of War 4, when speculation for a Gears collection was making the rounds by tweeting out the following: "I love the passion, but there is no Marcus Phoenix collection. We are working on other exciting Gears projects."
Okay, so a couple of things here. What Shadows is saying about, he's been asking for a Gears of War collection for a long time. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, that's one person who's asking for it. And, you are obviously, in my mind, he is the face of Gears of War, really. I mean, Rod Ferguson and Cliffy B were kind of like the faces of Gears for a while. We don't have that right now, but I feel like Shadows is really taking on the role of really keeping us all informed of things within Gears of War and such. I really feel, though, that what he's talking about is that he's been asking for it for a while. And obviously it's been something that has not come to fruition, not something that they've been, not something that they're working on at this point in time, or at least he has a hard time believing that they're working on a Marcus Phoenix or Gears of War collection at this point, because he's been asking for it for so long. And I feel like that being Shadows, is, being the face of the content side of Gears of War. The Coalition and, Microsoft should be looking at people like Shadows, because I think that Shadows speaks for a lot of people in the community. And I think it really is important that this is something that should have happened. Now, I'm hoping that after all these years of him, and all of us kind of pleading for a Gears of War collection, a Gears 6, and so on and so forth, that we get those things, or get like announcements of them here at the Xbox Game Showcase this year. I think that that's very, very important. But yes, Rod Ferguson, obviously, guys, being the studio head at the Coalition at the time, stating that Gears 6, Gears 7, as well as a Gears of War movie are all confirmed. He did also say, though, that a Marcus Phoenix collection was not something that they were working on. They were working on other exciting Gears of War projects. Now, Rod Ferguson now is, of course, over at Blizzard working on the new Diablo title, but this was something that did come out. And, obviously, to me, I feel I really want, like I was saying earlier, alluding to earlier, I want a Gear 6 announced before Gears of War collection. Obviously I want both of them announced at the same time, but I would prefer Gear 6 because that gives us the future forward. The Gears of War collection would be a perfect bridge title, in my personal opinion.
See you at E3. I would argue right now in 2022 that the rumors of a Gears of War collection existing are the largest the movement has ever been ever, with several major publications out there such as GameStop posting about it, and the Coalition studio have yet to either acknowledge a Gears collection happening or even shut the rumors down.
And that, I want to stop right there. That is a very important point. The Coalition has been very quiet. And a couple of things here. If they announce the Gears of War collection and Gear 6, not even so much Gear 6, we're talking more specifically about the Gears of War collection. With all the rumors, the mad speculation going around about the Gears of War collection, if Microsoft and the Coalition do not address the Gears of War collection rumors and speculation and such, coming out and saying that it's real, that it's happening, that will be a massive disservice, and I will be incredibly disappointed in Microsoft as well as the coalition. If they come out, here's the thing. They didn't come out and say it one way or another up to this point. They didn't, what they should have done was, hey, guys, the Gears of War collection is not happening. And that would have been perfectly, then everyone in the community would have put all the rumors to rest that, okay, they're not working on it. Or they could have come out and said, yeah, we are working on it. But the secrecy part of it puts them in a pretty tough situation, in my opinion, because if they don't announce it, here at the Xbox Game Showcase, there is going to be absolute huge backlash around the coalition and such, in my personal opinion. Now, if they announce a Gear 6, it's going to lessen the blow, but I just think that they have to address this. They have to. Zed's asking, will there be any Gears announced today? Look, man, I am very optimistic that Gears of War is going to be a topic of conversation at the Xbox Game Showcase. I refuse to believe that we aren't going to get any Gears at all. Like, there's going to be something, whether it's a teaser for Gear 6, whether it's announcement of the Gears of War collection, whether it's both of those things, or the Gears of War movie, we get a trailer for that. We are going to get something around Gears of War. I truly do believe that, without question.
Do you feel like it would only serve as negative press and a lot of disappointment towards the Gears of War franchise if a Gears collection isn't happening, and TC allowing the rumors to just run wild for no reason whatsoever, when just like Rod in the past, step in and set realistic expectations? Rod Ferguson departed the coalition back in March 2020 as head of the studio, which was already 2 years and 3 months ago, with the announcement of Gears 5 content support ending in 2021, Gears 5 esports ending this month, and then of course Gears 6 just being years and years away. What have the Coalition Studio been working on for the last 27 months if it isn't a Gears collection, which would definitely explain a lot?
So, look, he brings up some huge points here, some massive points. I mean, I was kind of alluding to it earlier, but, the fact that they have to address the Gears of War collection at this Xbox Game Showcase, they have to. I really cannot see them not addressing it. If they don't address it, or if the coalition totally ghosts everyone by not even being at the Xbox Game Showcase, there is going to be backlash unlike anything that we've ever seen. And so, look, guys, I'm going to be as positive, and, obviously we got to take everything with a pinch of salt that we're hearing, positive as well as negative, but I do believe that we are going to be seeing something very, very shortly here, guys, because we're a little bit over 30 minutes away from the start of the Xbox Game Showcase. Let me know, though, guys, what you all think. Do you think that we're going to be seeing the Gears of War collection announced here at the Xbox Game Showcase? Do you think we're going to be seeing the announcement of Gear 6, the Gears of War movie? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War collection, Gear 6, Gears of War movie, all of those things, stay here with Zero TV. Designer Direct says, if we go another 2 to 3 years without a Gears installment, it'll be trouble for Gears. I just can't see the miss almost an entire console generation with the X as well as the S, with S. Yes. Look, man, I am 1,000% with you on that one. I can't see it. If the coalition and Microsoft want to do what's best for Gears of War, you have got to. I really think that they have to come out guns blazing this Xbox Game Showcase and show us the Gears of War collection as well as Gear 6. You show us both those things, and even the Gears of War movie that's been rumored to be in development for a long time, showing us like a teaser for that would be huge as well. I think that Gears of War has got to absolutely crush it at this Xbox Game Showcase. I know it's Xbox Bethesda Games Showcase, so we know Bethesda is going to play a huge role at this thing, but we've got to have it's got to be big for the coalition. They've got to really regain a lot of people's trust. And I also think, though, that, and I've say this a lot, that it's not just on the coalition, it's definitely on the community as well. I think that the way that we've reacted to certain things that the coalition has done has been not the best way, and definitely not the way that we should be doing things. We have to get better as a community moving forward, but the coalition's got to get better as well. I'm super excited, to say the least, about this whole thing, about what could potentially be shown here at the Xbox Game Showcase. I think there's a lot to be excited about. Regardless of whether we're talking from the coalition's perspective, whether we're talking from, just other games that are going to be shown at the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase, I think that's something that's really huge as well. We've got, the coalition tweeting out a couple of things here. Number one, they tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Interested in environment art. We're looking for a senior environment artist and would love to check out your portfolio. And so they're looking for a senior environment artist. They're also looking for a content producer. They tweeted this out on June 6th. Join our squad. Do you have experience guiding innovative teams? We're seeking a content producer to collaborate with for the project team to deliver best in-class gaming experience for our players. Now, what you'll notice is they're saying join our squad, and they're showing Gears of War, right? Marcus, JD, and Kate Diaz, all here together, which is absolutely awesome. And they're looking for a number of roles, right? Full-time roles that they're looking for here. And I've got to tell you, after going through a lot of these different roles, they are, without question, they are looking for a lot of roles to be filled amongst the Gears of War community. And what's a very interesting thing for me is that I made a video where where I was talking about the coalition was looking for some motion capture, specialists. And what's interesting about that is one of the positions being a motion capture specialist is that if we're talking about the Gears of War collection, I don't believe they're doing motion capture for the Gears of War collection unless they're really adding like new maps. They're adding a lot of some new characters, things of that nature to the Gears of War collection. Motion capture would be being used on the next project, that being like Gear 6. And that's why I think that Gear 6, they really are ramping up production. They're recruiting a lot of people. And I mean, yes, they're talking about joining our squad and they're showing Gears of War. So they're not showing anything else. I mean, they could have just said, we're looking for a content producer, not even show the picture of, Marcus, JD, and Kate. But they did, right? So that tells you something. That's saying, okay, they're looking for a senior multiplayer designer, a UI artist, a QA director, senior environment artist. I mean, they're looking for a lot of positions, senior multiplayer designer, and all of these, like I said, you're getting the hints right in front of you. Gears of War is without question at the forefront here, even though we know that the coalition is... There's a couple of things that they're looking for here. The coalition, number one, is working on the Perfect Dark reboot. Now, this isn't confirmed, but there's rumors that the coalition is working on the Perfect Dark reboot. They are working on their own new IP altogether. So that's number two. But then number three is Gear 6 or Gears of War collection, or both of those things is another thing that's very, very interesting. Zed says, hey Zero, I subscribed to your YouTube and I just started Twitch Day, so I'll be sending you a follow. I appreciate you, Zed. Really appreciate it, man. Appreciate all of the new subscribers, all the new followers, guys. Whether it's here on Twitch, whether it's on YouTube, I do appreciate you guys in a massive, massive way. We are going to be talking more and more about everything in the world of Gears of War, the things that we're hoping to see. Now, one of the videos that I made on my YouTube channel was talking about the Gears of War collection, the possibility of it, but what happens with Gears esports if the Gears of War collection gets announced. So this is a really interesting one. So let's just say that the Gears of War collection gets announced, we all know, okay, and for those of you who don't know, Gears Esports is shutting down, right, this year. And the coalition had announced that they brought out a program update expressing that it's going to be ending, unfortunately. That being the Gears of War program, or the Gears of War esports program. And it's kind of it's definitely a sad thing for me, even though I'm not, I believe that the Gears of War esports scene is going to come back at some point or another. I think it's important that you guys all know, that if the Gears collection gets announced, I think that there's a real possibility that Gears Esports could come back, but I think that Gears Esports may not come back until Gears 6. So the competitive scene, I think there's going to be people that are going to be putting on different, tournaments and such, but I don't think that they're going to be put on by the coalition until Gear 6 gets released. And it's going to be up to us guys, because it's going to be like the last chance for Gears Esports, in my personal opinion, for that to really make an impact. So that being said, there was something else that I wanted to go over with you guys here here in a moment. So there was a video that came out, and I was really like mind blown by this video. It's from King Abe's. I'm sure some of you guys know who Abe's is, but he's an awesome YouTuber. So you guys can kind of take a look and see this. He made a video talking about the Gears of War iceberg, and this was like super fascinating to me. I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to talk about it. Okay, so what if there is no Marcus Phoenix collection? What are the chances of only Gears 2 only remastered? That's a good question. Gears 2 only being remastered. I cannot see Gears 2 being the only one being remastered. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why would you only remaster Gears 2? I know we got the Ultimate Edition, which of course was just Gears of War 1. But I think that's interesting. A very interesting question. Could they do it? I mean, they could. I can't really see it. I could see more of a Gears of War collection happening where it's, Gears 2, Gears 3, and then maybe Gears Judgment being in it, because they already did Ultimate Edition. I don't think it makes sense to bring Gears of War, 1 back into the fray with the Gears collection. They very well may. That would be more like a Marcus Phoenix collection, but I think Gears of War collection would be at least Gears 2, 3, and then Gears Judgment. Even though I feel that Gears Judgment was the dark ages of Gears, in my personal opinion. I still think that having it being remastered is very important, just for the history of Gears of War. And they could maybe add some things to Gears Judgment that could make the experience a little bit better. Not everybody hated Gears Judgment, but I just felt that from what we had in Gears 3 to Gears Judgment, I mean, it was just night and day. Gears of War 3 to this day, is still my favorite Gears of War of all time. I thought that Gears 1, 2, and 3, that trilogy was unlike any that we've ever had. I believe it was the third-person shooter of our time. I still believe that. I know Fortnite's out, guys, and Fortnite, they're crushing it. Like, Fortnite's doing unbelievable things, right? But Gears of War is a very special third-person title. There's nothing like it, and I think it's very, very important that we see the continuation of that into the future. So Zed says the Twitter post from the Coalition on New Year said, "Rev those Lancers," and there was a Gears 2 Marcus Phoenix looking at the sunset. Yeah, I think that could be, though. It very well could just mean, hey, Gears of War 2 is going to be coming with the Gears of War collection, which would make sense, right? They've kind of teased a number of things over the course of time. But yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if they just announced, Gears 2 remastered. I wouldn't be like it could never happen, but I would, if I were to bet on it, I would say Gears 2, Gears 3, and Gears of War Judgment, potentially Gears of War 1 as well. So that being said, guys, I want to go through, watch a little bit of this video from none other than King Abe's, who is a awesome YouTuber in the Gears of War community, creates some really awesome content. You guys should definitely check him out if you have not already. This is about the Gears of War iceberg is what he calls it, and he explains it in this video. I want to watch some of this and talk to you guys about it, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about it for sure in the comment section down below or here on Twitch.
Gears of War has always held a special place in my heart, ever since I was a kid. Ever since its inception, it has been the king of third-person shooters. So in this video, we will be looking at the Gears of War iceberg that I created. For those of you who don't know, an iceberg image is a list filled with different facts, theories and trivia, from well-known and as you dive deeper below the iceberg in water, more obscure. So I'm your host Abs, and the question is, how deep does the Gears of War iceberg go? The Coalition of Ordered Governments, also known as the COG. Colloquially shortened into the Coalition, the COG was a supranational and intergovernmental military collective originating on the planet Sera. The COG had its own armed forces, spread over all of its member nations. There were 4 branches of the armed forces: the Army, the Air Corps, the Navy, and a logistics branch known as the Engineering Corps. The entire Coalition military was commanded and supervised by the Coalition High Command. Locust Horde. The Locust Horde, often called Grubs by the Serans, were a race of mutated humans that established their own civilization in the subterranean regions of Sera, known as the Hollow. After the end of the Pendulum Wars, Queen Myrrah commanded her people to emerge on the surface of Sera to exterminate the humans, becoming known as Emergence Day, waging a 17-year-long war that was nearly successful in the extinction of the human race.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about this, guys, is before we continue forward, I think what's really interesting, I love this video. I love this breakdown of what Abe's is calling the Gears of War iceberg. I love this concept, and I think it's brilliant. But one of the things is that I want to talk about, one of the things I would love to see in a Gears of War title explored more, number one, is the Pendulum Wars. I think the Pendulum Wars are super fascinating to me. When we talk about the history of Gears of War, I think Pendulum Wars would be awesome to see at some point or another in the history. And I've talked about this on the YouTube channel before, but I think it's like really important that, you know, that's definitely something I would absolutely love to see. Number two, if you guys remember the research facility, I thought that was something that was really interesting, and I think Abe's definitely touches on this as well. I think that would be something really awesome as well.
The Crimson Omen is an emblem consisting of a red skull surrounded by a cog. It is part of the official logo of the Gears of War franchise and appears several times in gameplay throughout the series. Our boy Marcus Phoenix. So Marcus Phoenix is the face of the Gears franchise and the main protagonist, a legendary war hero who served with distinction in the Pendulum Wars and who fought bravely against the Locust Horde alongside Delta Squad and the rest of the COG. Marcus led humanity to victory over the Locust and the Lambent, but he was at a loss of what to do next after losing both his father and Dominic Santiago along the way. Epic Games. The creator of the Gears of War series was Epic Games. In 2006, Epic released the Xbox 360 and PC bestseller Gears of War and completed working on Unreal Tournament 3. On November the 7th, 2008, Epic Games released Gears of War 2, sequel to the best-selling shooter on the Xbox 360. Due to the success of Gears of War from Gears of War 1, 2 and 3, the studio were also awarded with IGN's Best Developer for Xbox 360. On January 27th, 2014, in a statement by Microsoft, it was announced that they had acquired the Gears of War franchise from Epic Games, along with the news that Black Tusk Studios would be responsible for developing new games in the series. From March 10th, 2014 onwards, Epic Games handed over all of the Gears of War assets to Black Tusk Studios. Lancer Chainsaw. The Lancer is the signature weapon of the Gears of War franchise, even more widely known than the Nasher Shotgun. But the Lancer always and has been unique due to it being produced with its notorious and distinctive chainsaw bayonet. The chainsaw consists of razor-sharp carbide-tipped blades powered by a variable torque motor.
So a couple of things here. With my story with Gears of War, I've talked about this, a lot. But when I purchased the Xbox 360, I worked an entire summer to buy the Xbox 360. So I had this summer job at this local university, and I worked really hard to get an Xbox 360. That was like my goal by the end of the summer, was to buy one. I buy the Xbox 360, and Gears of War, the original Gears, came with the 360. Knowing nothing, obviously, about Gears of War and such, I put that game in, and from that moment onwards is where my story and journey with Gears of War came in. It's been an unbelievable journey with Gears of War, and that's why I'm so excited, guys, because in less than 20 minutes, we're hopefully going to be seeing the future of our beloved franchise that we love so much. It's been a wild journey, right? There's peaks and valleys. Just like with any AAA title out there, there's always going to be good things, bad things that happen. But I will tell you that I think the story is far from over. There's a lot of road left to travel with Gears of War, and I think it starts today. Whether we're talking Gears of War Collection, Gears 6, there's a lot of things that I believe are happening behind the scenes. Obviously, we're hoping, fingers crossed, that these things are going to get announced here today, but super, super excited about it. So that being said, the way Marcus chainsawed that drone, that was so Unreal Engine. And yes, I'll tell you guys, the Unreal Engine 5, like what we saw from the... when the Coalition showed us that the power of Unreal Engine 5, wow, was that was unreal, because I felt like that was definitely the beginning of what could be like our first look at Gears 6, potentially. I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but I'm unbelievably excited about that.
Mad World. The launch trailer for Gears of War in 2006 was named Mad World, with the song Mad World covered by Gary Jules. Since the song had the atmosphere of Sarah, it fit perfect for the series. The song is also featured twice in Gears of War 3, most notably when our boy Dom sacrificed his life. Rest in peace, Dom, I still miss you every day. Cliffy B. Cliff Bleszinski, also known as Cliffy B, was the lead designer on Gears of War, and known for his work on Gears of War 1, 2 and 3, and one of the main reasons behind the IP's huge success. Cliffy B worked at Epic Games since 1992, but after 20 years with the company, Cliff announced his departure from Epic Games on October 3rd, 2012, never to be seen working on the Gears of War IP ever since. Gears Books and Comics. So the Gears of War book series consists of a 5-volume series written by Karen Travis and published by Del Rey in collaboration with Epic Games.
Okay, a couple of quick things here before we get to, because we're going to be switching over here pretty soon, guys, over to the Xbox stream. Number one, though, is the Cliffy B. I attribute a lot of the success of Gears of War to Cliffy B. Absolutely love that guy, what he did for our beloved franchise that we love so much. I will never forget 1, 2, and 3. Unbelievable. Now, Gears Judgment, guys, I feel like was the dark ages of Gears of War. Now, there were certainly some transitions happening over at Epic Games, but I will say this. After that original trilogy, I'm glad that Cliffy B was no longer a part of the Gears of War franchise. And a lot of people want Cliffy B to come back to Gears. I'm going to say this, though. I don't think Cliffy B, I don't think that Gears of War would be where it is today, even though some people think we're in a pretty bad spot as a franchise. I just feel that Cliffy B, he started to grow like a significant ego and such in regard to, just the success of Gears of War. And sometimes that happens with people when you attribute or get a lot of success within a franchise, you start thinking you're almost invincible. And then we know some of the projects that happened right after Gears of War for Cliffy B. Obviously, he did Lawbreakers. He did a couple other games as well, and none of them really worked. They all failed. He started Boss Key Productions, and obviously that company is no longer even existing at this point. But I'll always attribute those early games. I think that where the franchise is gone at this point, I like where we're headed, even though there's going to be bumps along the road with everything transitioning from Epic Games to the Coalition. That being said, Rod Ferguson was awesome. He's no longer, of course, with us over at the Coalition. But number two is going to be the comics. The older comics are so much better than the newer comics, in my personal opinion, just from illustration perspectives to all those things, right? There was something really to be said and something special about the older Gears of War comic books and novels than the new ones. And that's just my opinion, but I think that we need to get that improved upon moving forward.
Written by Jason Huff in collaboration with the Coalition, and then Gears of War: A Fear Arising, being the 8th novel in the Gears of War series, which takes place between Gears 3 and 4. From the Epic Games era of novels, we had Gears of War: Asphalt Fields, Gears of War: Jacinto's Remnant, Gears of War: Anvil Gate, Gears of War: Coalition's End, and Gears of War: The Slab. And then in the Coalition's era of novels, we had Gears of War: Ascendance, Gears of War: Bloodlines, and Gears of War: A Fear Arising. And for the Gears of War comic series, the Gears comic series consisted of a 24-issue publication from Wildstorm and DC Comics with collaboration from Epic Games, as well as 2 series made and published by IDW Publishing in collaboration with the Coalition. The aim of the comics is to fill in the gaps between the games and the books, and to expand the universe of Gears of War. So in terms of comics, we have had Gears of War Hollow, Gears of War Baron, Gears of War Dirty Little Secrets, Gears of War The Rise of Ram, Gears of War Hivebusters, as well as standalone issues and graphic novels.
This is where we're gonna end this video, but massive shout out to King Abe's. If you guys have not seen the entire video of his Gears of War Iceberg breakdown, definitely go check that out, guys. It is absolutely incredible. Let's just talk for a moment here about, obviously the comics are something that I think are kind of something kind of tough when it comes to Gears of War, even though like I haven't read all the novels. I love the novels for what they are. I hope we get some new ones as time goes, but the old ones I feel were better than the new ones. But that doesn't mean that they can't change the future moving forward. So I'm very, very excited about that. Bat1408, thanks for the follow. Designer Durex, thank you for the follow. And Zed, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the follow as well. Gears of War is hands down one of the most original games of all time, filled with beyond talented players that could easily transition to most FPS shooters because of how difficult a game Gears of War is. And Gears of War a lot of times in my mind is, sure, we could talk about that it's been misunderstood, or it's a game that definitely deserved more shine and such. Now, I will say this. Even though I am a massive Gears of War fan, I love Gears, another game that I love is Call of Duty. Call of Duty, what they've done really well is, well, number one, is Gears of War is an Xbox exclusive. Now, that's not an excuse for a game to not be able to succeed in a major way, but it definitely limits the audience. Call of Duty being on all the platforms makes a big difference, right? Now, on the flip side of that as well, Gears of War is a more mature title, right? Very gory and obviously you can have that heavy language, things of that nature that isn't suitable for all audiences. Whereas Call of Duty, it's still a mature title, but from a competitive or from a, viewership perspective for people, it's not, quite, it's like a PG-13 rating. It's not quite that hard R rating that Gears of War is. Now, Gears of War, I think that we've done, I think what needs to happen moving forward, especially with like the Gears esports scene, whether they tone down on the blood for the esports side of things so that more viewers can watch it, I think is important, because we look at I'll give you an example. With fighting games, so like Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat versus Smash. Smash and Street Fighter, those are two titles that get viewed a ton, right? They're viewed in a major way by lots of audiences because, you know, they're pretty kid friendly and such. But Mortal Kombat is that hard R-rated type of fighting game, right? And so it's not shown everywhere because of that. So it limits that audience. Even though Mortal Kombat is awesome, it's my favorite fighting game of all time, it's still one of those very graphic titles that not all audiences can watch. Now, Gears of War, you can say, yeah, we'll keep this as the WWE of esports, or we're going to keep this as that R-rated esport or just game in general. It's going to be tough, though, when, you know, just when you talk about growth in the Gears of War, in the, you know, from a, not so much a, you know, fan base perspective, but when you're trying to grow like the competitive scene, you're trying to continue growing the game, that's where it gets really tough. But that being said, Gears of War, I think Gears of War OG execution is inspiration for Call of Duty Search and Destroy mode. That, you know, that's really interesting. Execution's awesome, man. I love that what Gears Esports did where they took escalation, but they also took execution and they kind of went back and forth. I think that was really awesome. You know, personally, I think that execution was easier to understand, but I think that escalation was one of the best, you know, game modes that has been invented for whether you're talking FPS or third-person shooters ever. And so I love both of them, and I love that the esports scene for Gears has, you know, been able to do both of those. I just think, guys, that moving forward, we as a community are going to have to really push this thing forward. In a massive way. I mean, we as a community have to come together to push Gears to that next level. It's not just going to happen, you know, you can't just rely on the coalition. We can't rely just on ourselves. We need the coalition. They need us to help grow this thing and blow this thing up, which, when I say blow it up, guys, I mean in terms of Gears of War, in my mind, can be as big as Halo, for sure. Is it going to get to the point of being as big as Call of Duty? I mean, I would love to see it. It's really tough because Xbox, when you're talking to Xbox exclusivity, it's pretty tough, right? So I'm not even going to talk. We're going to talk about the show as a whole, that being the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase. We'll talk about it as a whole, but before we do that, we've got to address the elephant in the room. That being the coalition completely going rogue and not even making an appearance at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. They, you know, expectation was we were going to get something at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase, and I would have made a bet that we were at least going to get something from the coalition, whether it was a Gears of War collection, whether it was Gear 6, we were going to get something. Now, we got nothing. Absolutely nothing. They totally ghosted us, guys. And I mean, to me, it's, you know, it's almost borderline inexcusable. Now, that being said, before I totally, like, just completely bash the coalition for this, we got to put this into context. So I think what's very important is a tweet that came out. This was from Gears Esports. Today, Coalition Gears is announcing this will be the final season of Gears Esports. Now we're going to break this down, because this announcement of what happened with Gears Esports is maybe why they weren't and did not make an appearance at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. Here we go. Let's talk about the program update. After 2.5 years of near constant Gears 5 action, today the Coalition is announcing that this will be the final season of Gears Esports as we shift our focus to future projects. Okay. This marks the culmination of several years of Gears Esports competition across multiple titles, with thousands of players competing in hundreds of events across the world. While the global pandemic cut short our plans for live events, we're proud that through the support of our community and partners, we've been able to successfully continue the program throughout the last 2 years. So, obviously, we know Gears Esports is going to be ending here, you know, in the, you know, foreseeable future. Now, that being said, here's the big part. As we announced last year, the Coalition is working hard on the future of Gears, but we won't be talking about that anytime soon. Make sure to stay connected with Gears of War on Twitter for future announcements. So that's the line right there that we need to talk about. Because as we announced last year, the Coalition is working hard on the future of Gears, but we won't be talking about that anytime soon. So this was brought out, guys, March 15th of this year. So my only guess to why they ghosted us and did not make an appearance at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase is because they don't have anything to talk about right now or anytime soon. When they say anytime soon, now we've got to really push like the timeline here, because my timeline was this. My timeline was this year we would get the Gears of War collection. And that was going to be the bridge between Gears 5 to Gears 6. So it was going to be kind of like that bridge to get us to Gears 6. So I thought that the Gears of War collection, with everything that we were hearing about, was going to come out this year here in 2022. Obviously, we did not get that. And this now pushes the timeline of events of what could be coming. And this brings us to what a lot of people are talking about. Jez Corden mentioned that he didn't even think that the Gears of War collection even exists. Now, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm going to get to that here in a moment, but the fact of the matter that the Coalition didn't address the rumors and the rumblings of the Gears of War collection at the very least is totally on them. They should have at least given us something. So obviously Gears 5 is now pretty much not being supported because the Coalition's working on future projects. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, this lays out the timeline further than I expected, further than probably any of us expected. Now it looks like if we get a Gears of War collection, it probably won't be announced until next year. So, I mean, if we go back to, this Gears Esports program update where they're saying that the Coalition's working hard on the future of Gears, but they're not going to be talking about it anytime soon. That came out, obviously, March of this year. That tells me that, okay, they had nothing to show at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. I feel like they should have still made an appearance. They did not. It's definitely unfortunate. They should have at least made an appearance, especially with when they're like dropping the esports program and all this stuff. They should have at least made an appearance saying, hey guys, we're here's a quick sneak peek as to what we're working on. But I will say this, I feel like this leads us to what I think what's probably going to happen. Next moves forward is the Gears of War collection. If it's going to come now, I'm thinking it's probably going to be something that gets announced next year. I don't think it's going to get announced this year. I felt like this was the perfect stage to show what was coming. They showed us exactly what's coming out for 2022 and even into the, portions of 2023. So the Gears of War collection, I think now is being pushed to 2023, if it's coming at all. And Gears 6 is probably now going to be coming, what I thought was going to be 2024, 2025. It's probably going to be 2025 for sure. They're going to want to really ramp up like the excitement and buzz for Gears 6. And I feel like that's something that they're going to do. They're going to want to have plenty of time to market it, kind of like you can see with like Starfield and such. Maybe they'll announce Gear 6 next year and then it comes out in 2024, but I'm going to place it on 2025. So let's see. So obviously, guys, the Xbox Game Showcase, I don't know, Zed, if it's being extended to June 14th. Designer, I'll tell you, like Gears 5, they definitely abandoned Gears 5. I mean, I feel without question they should be I think, especially if they're not going to make an appearance at something like the Xbox Game Showcase, they should still be supporting Gears 5 until we get an announcement of like Gears War Collection or Gears 6. And then I can understand them like moving on to those other projects. But they're leaving Gears 5. They're leaving the Gears esports scene, at least for now. And it's a real unfortunate thing because now we're really all in the dark. At the very least, I feel what should have happened should have been, they at least, even if it was on Twitter, they should have acknowledged whether or not the Gears of War collection is coming. Now, unless they're going to announce it this year, I mean, it's, like I said, I mean, it kind of puts, the coalition in a tough spot at the same time because these rumors are going out that they're working on the Gears of War collection, and they may be, they may not be, but totally ghosting us is really, definitely is tough. Now, Witsy says, still doesn't mean we're not getting it. The Gears of War Ultimate Edition never got a trailer. So, look, I mean, I agree that we may very well still get this Gears of War collection. I just think maybe, guys, the timeline has to be pushed forward, we have to. We've got to look at it from the perspective, we still got to be positive. There's what I will say is, as just a video game lover, obviously my YouTube channel is, I've dedicated my YouTube channel to Gears of War, right, into Gears of War content. But that doesn't mean that, I'm still going to play other games. Obviously I've brought back my team that I started a number of years ago, Major Militia. We are now creating, we're going to be starting to create Gears of War content, but we're also going to be creating content around other games. And I think that for Xbox, Zed, I know you mentioned earlier that Xbox is dead. I actually think I disagree with that. Even though, Gears of War is something that, is definitely my favorite game and I wanted to see it continue. Xbox is really making a push to so there's so many more games coming to Xbox Game Pass, which gives you so many more reasons to get Xbox Game Pass. And yes, Gears is put on the back burner for now. I think that we can rest assured, though, knowing that they're working on it. It's really annoying and frustrating. I get it that they're not just giving us a teaser, not showing us what's going on. And I think that's the biggest frustration that we as the Gears community have right now, that they're not communicating with us. We know that if you just go on their Twitter account, I mean, they are, without question, they are hiring people left and right, it seems, over at the Coalition. Let's just go over this again. I mean, look at this. So the Coalition just a couple of days ago, interested in environment art. Senior environment artist is what they're looking for, and they would love to check out your portfolio. But what you're going to see with each of these guys, and we mentioned this earlier in the show, that they're showing us join our squad, and it's showing Marcus, JD, and Kate, okay, on every one of these. So they could easily just have a graphic that says senior environment artist, join our squad, and have like the Coalition's logo. But no, they're showing this is specific, very specific for Gears of War. Content producer. I mean, they're looking for, from art to design, engineering, production, all these different things. They're ramping up production. Now, whether it's the Gears of War collection, whether it's Gears 6, whatever it is, the Coalition is working on it. And, it's not just called at Coalition Gears, just for the sake of it. No, these guys, they're working on other projects. Okay, there's no doubt about it. They're working on their own new IP altogether. We know this. They're rumored that they are also working on a title, that being Perfect Dark, the reboot. That's a rumor. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but part of the Coalition's working on that. And then the other rumor is the Gears of War collection, Gears 6. So look, I'm just as upset as everyone else, without question, that we got nothing, okay? But I do believe, guys, that we have not seen the end of Gears, The end of Gears is, look, as long as we are voicing our opinion, we are echoing the things that we want into existence, the things that we want will happen. It does take time though, guys. And you know, even though I'm not gonna give the Coalition a pass for not being at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. That's not happening, because they should have made an appearance. Like, even if it was, hey guys, whether it was one of the designers at the Coalition, this could have been a perfect, you know, way for them to have come out on there. Hey guys, listen, I'm whomever with the Coalition, and I know you're excited to see what we're working on. And I promise we're working on a number of different titles. We'll have more to show you in 2023, but here's a little teaser of a couple of things we're working on. Boom. Like a 30-second little montage or something of that nature of a couple of things that they're working on, whether you're talking Perfect Dark, whether you're talking the Gears of War collection, the new IP from the Coalition, or Gears 6. They could have done, you know, they could have done something like that, and they didn't, right? So obviously it is frustrating. It is very frustrating, but I will promise you guys this. I'm not stopping the Gears of War content on the YouTube channel. We're going to continue creating Gears of War content every single day on the YouTube channel. You guys can check that out, guys. New Gears content every single day. We are going to make this happen, the things that we want to have happen, whether we're talking Gears 6, which is of course what I want the most, but a Gears of War collection is definitely something that I want, and I know a lot of you out there also want. Now, Witsy says, if you search Gears of War on the Xbox store, there's 5 blank spots to be filled. Also, if you search Marcus Phoenix, there is 1 blank spot with no game cover. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's something I'll have to look into that. I didn't know that was something, but if that is true, you've got to wonder what that would be, because most likely what that would mean would probably be, you know, the Gears of War collection. Like, let's just say Gears 1, 2, 3, Gears of Wars, Gears Judgment. That would be 4 blank spots if those are all 4 getting remastered. And then Gears 6, maybe something like that. Or Gears Tactics 2, Gears Pop. Well, Gears Pop is on you're on phone, iOS and Android. But it's hard to say, you know, that it's interesting that you would have 5 spots like that. I'll have to look into that some more. But even though, like I said, I'm upset about it, I wish we would have got some kind of acknowledgement whether or not the Gears of War collection was coming or not. I would have liked it if there would have been that kind of vibe. We're going to have to wait a while longer, guys. But what I will say is that, you know, sometimes all the good things in life sometimes are worth fighting for, worth waiting for. And even though it was, you know, we didn't get it, I will continue creating content around it. And I'm sure that there's going to be other guys and girls in the Gears community that will continue it as well. So here's what I'm going to say. The call to action, guys, is this. If you create content on YouTube and you love Gears of War, you should be creating content on YouTube. If you don't create content and you don't stream, you should be supporting your favorite content creators and your favorite streamers without question, because that is going to help boost the numbers for Gears of War, especially when we're pretty close to all-time lows with Gears of War from just the narrative perspective of Gears of War and where we're at. The Gears esports scene's done. Gears 5 isn't going to be, you know, supported anymore. A lot of things that are all-time lows with Gears, we as a community have got to push this thing forward. So that's my 2 cents on that. That being said, the Gears content is going to continue, guys. You guys can check out Major Militia, which is my team. We're going to be creating Gears of War content, as well as a lot of other game content as well, having podcasts and shows and things of that nature, similar to what I do with the Gears cast and on my YouTube channel on Zero TV. Gears 6 was not announced. The Gears of War collection was not announced. And it's definitely, these are going to be tough times for us as a community, guys, moving forward. There is absolutely no doubt about it. It's going to be tough. There's going to be some moments that are going to be, it's going to be challenging times ahead for sure. But I'm going to continue creating content on my YouTube channel. about Gears of War, daily Gears of War content, does not matter. We are going to be consistently creating content around Gears of War. Whether we're talking about the Gears of War collection, whether we're talking about Gear 6, Gear 7, the Gears of War movie, whatever it is, guys, we are going to be talking about it here on the YouTube channel. And that is my promise to all of you, is that we are going to be consistently creating content around this thing. I'm very, very excited about it. Don't give up. Do not give up. Gears community's been through a lot. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We are going to have what lies on the other side, guys, is going to be worth the wait. I can promise you that. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to try to get some clarification at some point or another. I'd love to, I'm going to reach out to the coalition, see what we can do about getting just something from them, which would be absolutely awesome. And I know that guys like Shadows and King Abe's and some of these other guys are going to continue probably creating content around Gears of War. So I'm going to play my part in trying to push this thing as much forward as possible. But with that being said, guys, and with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was not what you were hoping for. I know all of you were hoping for more from the coalition and such, as was I. But what is coming on the other side, like I said, is gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be worth it. So, in the meantime, stay tuned to my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you guys are new, guys. Creating content every single day for the Gears of War community. You guys can also follow on Twitch, guys. We're going to be streaming as much as we possibly can. But new Gears of War content daily. You guys can check out Major Militia, where you guys are going to get tons of different gaming types of content. Very excited about that as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And for those of you watching on Twitch, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks again, guys, for joining me. Until the next one, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace out.